This interview that you're about to watch covers some pretty tough subjects, including rape and child molestation. So I ask you, as always, to just watch with an open mind and heart and a caring mind and heart. And just remember that there is likely somebody in your circle, your family, your friends, who has gone through similar circumstances as my guest in this interview has. So just keep that in mind and always be approachable, caring. Share this video because you don't know who would needs to hear it, who needs to know that they're not alone in what they're going through or what they have gone through. Thank you again for watching and sharing, and just remember, no matter what you're going through, you will get through it. It will take time, and just take one breath at a time. Okay, take care. Thanks for watching. Okay, hi Ave. Thank you for contacting me and wanting to share your story of survival. Before we continue, I just want to confirm that you're okay with me recording this and sharing it on my page on Facebook and YouTube as well, and Instagram. So on all my things. Yeah. Okay. Great. So go ahead and tell me about your story of survival.
So I think I'll start with, for years I've considered myself a phoenix rising from the ashes, becoming stronger and more than I once was from each time I burn and fall.
Yeah.
And each time I rise from the ashes of a trauma, I try to take some sort of lesson from it and become more. And just, I try not to let the past hold me down. Because a long time ago, and I'll get to the explanation of all of it, I started to think, if I let the past hold me down, I'm letting them win. Whatever person caused me harm, I'm letting them win if I stay in the scarred and damaged and broken parts of my life. But if I rise above and become stronger and better and whole, I'm winning. Not the person, not the people that hurt me.
Which is a great way to approach it and to look at it. Whatever what anybody goes through, anything traumatic, I think that's a great way to look at it.
So I'm going to go backwards in time to the ancient past. The first real big scars that I had to get through. When I was a child, I was a victim of sexual abuse. I had a next door neighbor who taught me how adults behave to a point. He didn't rape me, but he definitely did a lot of touching and looking, and
So
I have
molested you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have scattered memories of a babysitter and a guy that I don't even know how he came into my life, but just little scattered memories of similar incidences with different people where they took advantage of this little girl who had been taught not to say no, and that you're just quiet. You just don't say no, don't make a fuss, just go with it. And I didn't understand it at the time, but one of the things that I started doing to cope was disassociating from the experience. And when I finally started researching what was happening, I learned the term multiple personalities, and later they changed it to dissociative disorder. But I would lose time. Something traumatic would happen that the little girl in my head couldn't handle, and she would go away, and somebody else would come and deal with it. So I have difficulty sometimes remembering timelines or how things happened or when they did. But I didn't understand as a kid that it was weird or unusual that when your friends come to visit that nobody else can see, that you go away. I thought it was normal because that's how I grew up. That's if Linda came to take over the body, then I had to go somewhere else, and that was just the way it was. We move forward in time through the childhood stuff, and I do know my parents found out about the next door neighbor, and they intervened and separated that relationship and kept me away from him. I don't know if I understood then that they weren't upset with me. I think that a part of me always thought that they were mad at their kid for doing something wrong. But I understand now that that was never the case. It was just confusion. So I go through school, elementary school, afraid of boys. Or some of us are scared of boys. Some of us think boys are the solution to all of the world's problems. It's very confusing because you've got some parts of your brain that like boys and want a boyfriend, but the rest of us are terrified and don't even want to talk to a boy. I enter high school, and all of a sudden this huge world of dating and boyfriends and things becomes a thing. Like, everywhere you turn, somebody's got a relationship going on. And I met a guy that became a good friend. And he definitely let me know that he wanted to be more than just a friend. But he was willing to respect my wishes and take things slow. And I had told him about some of the stuff that had happened when I was a kid, so that he understood why I was cautious. And he would push the boundaries as we became closer friends. And sometimes we'd have little tickle fights, or he'd put his arm over my shoulders and hold me close, and if I was uncomfortable, he'd do it for a little bit, and then he'd stop and respect that boundary, and then each time the boundary was a little easier to deal with.
So he was grooming you almost.
Yeah. Get me to the point where putting his arm over my shoulder wasn't weird anymore, so he could put his arm around my waist. Or it was always just advancing it a little bit. But because he always stopped, I thought, this one's safe. This is somebody I can trust. So we started dating in my grade 10 year. It wasn't a very long relationship, but it was the beginning of the game. We dated off and on for the rest of my high school years. He would tell me he loved me, and then he'd disappear and start dating other girls, and then he'd come back, and then he'd leave, and then he'd come back, and then he'd leave. And it was always the same things. It was that boundary pushing and that retreat, like push and then back off. Be like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable.
It makes you wonder if he was doing the same thing to the other girls, too.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I call him an ex-monster for a reason. I'm not the only girl he hurt. he took it further with me than with most of his conquests.
Yeah.
But by my grade 12 year, he decided to stop backing off of the boundary. And because of everything that had happened when I was a kid, I did not verbalize the word no, which caused me a lot of difficulty for a long time, because he did rape me. It was, for a long time I didn't think it was rape, because I didn't say no. I just fought him tooth and nail for every single stitch of clothing he took off me that day. And I thought because I didn't say no, and then when I realized I wasn't going to win, I went away, that maybe it wasn't rape.
So another personality came forward during that time, or it was just blank?
No, it was definitely, for a long time, I didn't even realize. I was calling it the January night, and I didn't even realize what had happened that night, because it was just not there. It wasn't in my mind. I ended up writing a story about it, where it was all flashback, and it was the first time I sat back and I realized what happened on what I was calling the January night. And I fully believed that I was going to change him, that because I loved him and he said he loved me, that this time was going to be different, and I would go to him. I would go to him and be alone with him, and it was never different. Every single time alone, it was the same fight for the clothing. He would say I was being too shy, or other words like that, where, it was just, I'm being too modest. And
did he know what happened to you as a child?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was one of the first people I told.
Yeah.
But I started realizing after, I don't know how long in my grade 12 year, but I started realizing something needed to change. I think it was probably after I had tried to kill myself passively. They were, I look back on it now and I'm like, oh my God, did I really think that would work? But the third time I tried was the worst. I had collected pills from various medicine cabinets from my friends' houses for months. And I planned it meticulously. There was a day that I had no classes after lunch break, and my parents weren't going to be home for about 4 hours after I was supposed to be home from school. But I didn't have classes, so I took all of the pills, and I was going to walk home, and by the time they got home, it would be over. Until I did research about multiple personalities, I could not understand how I survived that day, because I don't know how many pills were in there. It was a jewelry box, like one of those bigger ones for watches that I'd been filling. So, and it was all sorts of things. It was whatever I could find in medicine cabinets. I'd go to a friend's house and say I had a headache, and I'd go grab an aspirin and throw it in a little box that I always had in my backpack. But I learned that people with dissociative disorder or multiple personalities or whatever, one of your personalities can exhibit physical symptoms, say asthma, and the rest of your system won't have it. And the same thing can happen if you take pills. Mm-hmm. So you have a headache, you take aspirin, and then you switch. And all of a sudden those aspirin aren't affecting you the same way.
Yeah.
So I have this really sketched out memory of the day that I took those pills, I was walking with a friend, and we were switching. And switching, and switching, and switching, and switching, and switching. And between him walking with me and those people coming through my head in that procession, I think that's how come I survived that day. Because he didn't let me go home, my friend. And they wouldn't let one consciousness stay in the drugs long enough.
And I think you survived because you're meant to be here.
Yeah.
You have a purpose on this earth.
So I had started realizing after that something needed to change. And I was terrified to try leave him, but I started dating other boys. Because he had this rule. We were, at that stage, we were in what he called an open relationship. He was allowed to date and screw whoever he wanted, but I was only allowed to date because I was his. I was his property. So my body was his, but I could date other boys. And so I started dating other boys, trying to escape. And there was some failed attempts, but I was also starting to try stand up to him. I was starting to try tell him that this needed to stop, that this couldn't keep happening. And I started dating a guy that I'd been friends with all through high school, and that I knew the ex-monster was actually intimidated by. And it worked between me telling the ex-monster that I didn't want to do this anymore and the boyfriend. The ex-monster started to leave me alone. And I fully intended on breaking up with the boyfriend. I wanted to have a little bit of time just for me. And he told me he loved me. And it was a game changer. Because I had had a crush on him for 4 years.
Yeah.
And he was the first one to respect and treat like no meant no. And so I went from having a crush on him to being gonzo in love. And he told me at that point that he did not want to share me with anyone. And that included me, myself.
And
So,
the personalities.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What he meant.
So I started patching myself together. I never once saw anyone for psychological help. I read a ridiculous amount of self-help books. I did a lot of research. I actually read textbooks about and books about personality disorders and stuff like that. Everything that I could get my hands on, I devoured to try and understand and try to figure out how to cobble my brain back together. And I might have done it a little wrong. I actually have gaps in my memory of things that belong to the other personalities. But while this was happening, I did this weird thing that I call the turtle phase. I was with the boyfriend that helped me get away from the monster. But all of a sudden, I couldn't talk to anyone. I was afraid. I would, if a stranger came up to talk to me in public, I would clam up. I would actually, if I had a wallet or a book or anything, I would hug it against myself, and I didn't like what was happening, but I couldn't seem to stop it. And because I didn't like it, I started trying to find a outlet, a way. And there was this store that did these noon hour seminars. And there'd be a speaker that would talk for an hour about whatever topic they were going to talk about. But sometimes there was 40 people at this thing.
Yeah.
So I started forcing myself to go to it. And if I had a bad day where I didn't think I could go, and my boyfriend was there, he'd be like, no, you're going. This is helping you. You need to go. So he would push me out of my shell to go to these things.
Which is good.
Sometime in that time period, I stopped disassociating with like all of the disassociation stopped happening. I became a whole person. I also became only Ave, which was a huge thing because that's not my birth name. That's not the name that I lived by for almost my entire life before that moment. But the first time I thought of myself as a phoenix rising from the ashes was when I came out of the cobbling myself together and claimed the name Ave as who I was. It was the all of it put back together. Through that noon hour seminar, I joined a women's dance circle group, which was the beginning of a huge journey into my future. They got together to celebrate pagan solar holidays and support each other. And it was this beautiful, supportive, healing group of women that helped get me further out of that turtle shell. When I first started going there, I couldn't even join them in song when they would sing one of their chants. I would sit and listen and just be... There were times that I looked at them and I was like, God, I wish I had that much that much courage, that much strength. I want to be able to share my voice like that. And by the end of a year with them, I led my first ritual for them. And it changed my life. Absolutely changed my life.
You found your
The group
tribe.
disbanded. I did.
Like a support system.
Unfortunately, the group did disband.
Okay.
But after a while, less than a year, I started missing that community, that connection. So this girl who used to be terrified and not able to speak in public started hosting potluck events for solar holidays.
And that girl was you.
Yeah. Yes.
I just wanted to clarify. Yeah. You really stepped out of your shell.
Yeah. I would post it at the stores in Saskatoon, advertising that this event was going to be happening and where it was, and asking for donations to try recomp the cost of the hall that I'd have to rent or whatever. And there were times that there was about 40 people that would show up that I didn't even know, and I would lead that event. It led to the festival that I'm the founder of. Because after about a year of the potlucks, there was one event where only one person showed up. I lost a lot of money, and I vowed I was done. I was never going to do it again.
Yeah.
And less than a year later, I was like, what if I sold tickets in advance? Like, actual sell tickets, because then if people don't show up, I'm not losing money.
Yeah.
I'll only sell them for what I need to cover the cost of whatever it costs me to do it. But
Yeah.
and my ex, who had been there dating me and later on marries me, he thought I was crazy. He thought I was insane, and he was like, I want nothing to do with this. That first year, he was like, this is your idea, this is your brainstorm, go with it. He ended up having to help me partway through just because there was a lot of obstacles for that first year. But he didn't want to have anything to do with it. If it failed, it was my call, right?
Yeah.
But I guess I did skip through that because today apparently I don't want to talk about my ex-husband.
Yeah. That's okay. Whatever you want to talk about.
But the guy that I started dating to get away from the monster did become my husband.
Mm-hmm.
He did become a huge part of how I got through a lot of the dark and the he helped me find my backbone.
Mm-hmm.
He helped me find the ability to say no and mean no. And
it's great that
he
you
was all,
give him that credit, you know, even though he's your ex now. You know, that's good. That's huge.
he also he was also there as I transitioned from why me and the self-loathing and the self-blame to realizing that I kind of liked who I was. And then, no, I don't kind of like who I am. I like who I am. And, oh, wait, I think I might actually love who I am. And it was like this gradual process, right?
Yeah.
And he was there with it. He was there for all of it. But the festival is my legacy. That's my baby, which is huge because now we have about 60 people come to it, and I look back on the scared, terrified, scarred girl that was going to those noon hour seminars
Mm-hmm.
and huddling behind a purse or a book or a wallet or whatever was handy.
Yeah.
To a priestess of a temple and a festival, and it's just crazy, right? Like when you look back at
you strength, and I'm not I was raised Catholic. I consider myself a spiritual person. I have a very close relationship with God, and 100%, my relationship with God has gotten me through everything, all the struggles in my life. And no matter what your faith is, in my opinion, like whether it's pagan or spiritual or Catholic, I don't practice Catholic anymore, but I do very much pray. I do think it's important to have some sort of something to fall back on, something to just be like, you know what, this is too much for me. You know, take it away and just bring me some peace. And so I think that's beautiful that you found that and have turned it into something to help so many other people. Like those 60 people that come, I bet you if you took a survey or something, or and maybe you do at the end of the festival, say like, what did this do for you? I think it'd be beautiful to hear how you're helping other people.
well, there's this phrase that has come to be because of Fest, and the woman who brought it about explained it to me, and it's beautiful when you think about it, but she called it Festmas. And now all of us call it Festmas, because for a lot of the people that come to it, they will fight just as hard for those 3 days off for Fest as most people will fight for Christmas, because that's their celebration.
That's what it means to them. Yeah. Wow.
And we've had hand fastings at it, which are marriage ceremonies. I've had some amazing people come into my life because of Fest, and it's this huge blessing in my life. So is the community.
Mm-hmm.
About a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago now, I guess, my life took a huge left turn. the man that I thought I'd be with for the rest of my life, that had seen me through so many things, had been there to help me through so much. He broke my heart, absolutely devastated me. And as soon as it went down, I thought, I have survived so much. I have healed from so much. That's what I'm going to do here. And I decided pretty much as soon as I knew we were done, I started focusing on moving forward and healing. And it's the strength and that core self-awareness that I've developed from everything that I lived through before that gave me the strength to make it through having the man I thought I'd be with for the rest of my life leave me. And it wasn't pretty. It was messy and ugly and complicated, and pretty much every stereotype you can imagine happened in the first couple months of the separation. But I just kept focusing on moving forward and healing and moving on. And it's the first time in my life any of my friends referred to me as a phoenix. It was kind of empowering to have a friend. Just, I don't even know if she knew that I'd been considering myself a phoenix before that. She just, out of nowhere, while it was all going down, called me a phoenix. There might have been a little swear in there, but it was like, yeah, that's who I am.
Yeah. Well, to have somebody else confirm what you're feeling about how you're feeling about yourself, especially when it's such a positive thing, in spite of the horrible things that you went through, it's beautiful. Like, it's got to be true, if she didn't know you were thinking it, and so she sees that in you, or she saw that in you, and yeah, I think that's really beautiful. It sounds like a very special friend.
I'm blessed. I have some pretty amazing friends in my life.
Yeah.
It wasn't just my strength and my core that got me through everything. When I was in high school and dealing with those traumas, I didn't reach out for help. I didn't try, I didn't tell anybody how bad things were. I tried to do it on my own. And it got dark, and it got bad, and it got scary. And I made a promise to myself when the separation started to come to light that I would reach out. I told my friends that I was going to need help, and that if I didn't reach out periodically, maybe just check in on me, just touch base, make sure I'm okay, because I didn't want to do that again. I didn't want to go down that dark path where even a passive thought of suicide was there.
And that's so huge to think, to be strong enough to... So many people don't ask for help because they're afraid to be a burden, or to be told to just get over it, or it's not that bad, or so many people have it worse. People are afraid of other people minimizing what they're feeling, what they're going through, and being judged, and so for you to have had that grade of people in your life that you felt comfortable enough to say, like, hey, this is what I'm feeling, check in on me, make sure I'm okay once in a while, and for them to be like, you got it, of course, 100%, like that's wonderful. That's really good.
Because sometimes it doesn't matter how strong you are.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how healed you are.
Sometimes
You
we
just-
can't do it all.
You need people.
Yeah.
You need a network to support you.
Yeah.
And it also doesn't matter how healed you are or how happy you are most of the time. You'll still have low days too. It's just the way it is.
Yeah. That's life.
Don't beat yourself up over it.
Yeah.
Just make the choice.
Yeah.
That's what I did. I made the choice.
You know, and
I'm
that's...
not gonna.
Oh,
Sorry?
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm not gonna let the low days hold me down.
Yeah. Well, yeah, everybody has low days, no matter what they've been through, and no matter what is bringing on. Like, I know a lot of people are feeling down right now because it keeps snowing, and we're just so anxious for spring. And you know, it's amazing something as simple as weather can bring people down. And there's other major things that bring people down too. So, and you're right, it is okay. Nobody is expected to be all happy-go-lucky all the time. That's not how life works, unfortunately. But as long as you know how to get out of the slump, and how to be okay again, that's what's important.
And I also think, and there's this catchphrase, depression. I always think there's a lesson in the dark. And if you can come out of the dark and the depression and be aware of what that lesson was for that time.
Mm-hmm.
I know one of my worst bouts of depression after I came out of it, this was a long time ago, that was when I was like, you know what? I think I love myself. And it was just after one of those really dark times where everything seemed bleak and lost and despairing. And the lesson I came out from it was that I was pretty dang awesome.
Yeah.
And I help friends when they're sad and when they're lost. And I've done this thing, I call it my homework. And I've done it for so many people, and some of them might watch this video and be like, oh yeah, this thing.
And I hope you watch.
I've actually encouraged people to look themselves in the eye in a mirror and to try to tell themselves that they love themselves. No condition. Not, I love myself because I'm a good mom. Or I love myself because of whatever. No condition. Just look yourself in the eye and say you love yourself. And if you can't do it because it's hard and the first while you'll bawl. Oh my God, you'll bawl.
Yeah.
Try go to I like myself. Start with a smaller step. And have it be a goal to look yourself in the eye and say you love who you are.
Mm-hmm. I know I had a hard time for my teenage years. So I was burned when I was 9, and I have scars all over my body. And it wasn't until I became a mom at age 20, and I decided like I don't ever want my daughter to be ashamed of who her mom is or who she is. She has no scars, but still, it's a. Anyways, I looked in the mirror and I learned. I didn't say those words. I don't think. I probably thought them, but it was more of a convincing myself. Like, okay, I love my scars. I love my scars, and it was almost, I want to say, like overnight. That as soon as I accepted my scars and loved who I was, that all of a sudden I was okay with what happened to me. And I just wanted to help other people, starting with my daughter. So, and that's why I want to do these, interview you, because I know that there's somebody, probably more than one person out there, who has been through the same, either one of the things that you went through or multiple, and they just need to know that they're not alone. And so I think after hearing your story and hearing how you got through, they'll be able to take some notes and be like, you know what, if she can do it, I can do it. And I know you're going to help at least one person with this interview. I just know it. So, and I think that's important too, to take from our hard lessons, the horrible things that we've gone through, is okay, what can I learn from this, and how can I help somebody? How can I help other people? And yeah. So.
And I caused some almost hostility at first with this one, but that It Gets Better campaign,
yeah,
I have a bone with it. I have a huge bone with it, because it doesn't just get better. You have to make the effort.
Oh yeah.
You have to make the choice.
Yeah.
So there's these campaigns going around where they say, it gets better. But if you just sit on your derriere, no, it won't. You have to make the effort. You have to make the choice.
Yeah.
And
well, it's
you
the
have
same
to
with anything. Like, I tell my kids all the time, life isn't going to be handed to you on a silver platter. You got to work for what you want. You got to work hard for what you want. And and that goes with anything really in life. Like, you can't expect to sit on your butt or lay in your bed and do nothing and expect it to get better. And you do need to reach out. And I know reaching out is really hard for some people, especially depending on what they're going through. But there's so many ways. There's online help, finding groups that know what you're going through, self-help books like you did. There's so many. If you can't reach out to somebody, there are other ways to, even making a phone call to suicide awareness, if it's that, or the suicide hotline if it's gotten to that point. And that's, I don't know if it's anonymous suicide hotline or not, but you're talking to somebody who doesn't know you if you're worried about people judging.
Yeah.
So yeah. But I understand where you're coming from. You're right. Like, it doesn't just get better if you do nothing. Like, we're in control of our own lives.
There will be times where you do need to go into your cave and or into your blanket fort or whatever. You need that moment where you have to take care of yourself. Mm-hmm. But if that's all you do, sooner or later it stops helping you. Yeah. So I've had some people get really grumpy about the fact that I don't like the It Gets Better campaign. They get really grumpy. I'm like, but it's so inspiring. It's like saying you can hold a seed in the palm of your hand and it's gonna grow.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm familiar with that campaign. Is it local to Saskatoon? Or is
it was a while ago. There was like a whole video session and everything, and I don't think it was local. I think it was all over the place, but it was like a catchphrase for a long time, and there was little, I don't remember if it was hashtagged or not, but it gets better.
I'm sure the people behind it had good intentions, of course. Like
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Absolutely. I would never diss it.
Yeah.
As soon as I heard it, I was like, no, you have to make the choice.
Yes. Yeah, no one can make that choice for you. So if, like I said before, there's going to be somebody, at least one person watching this, but I think it will be more than that, who has gone through what you've gone through. Just since I've started these interviews, the amount of people I know who've been molested as a child alone, it's heartbreaking. And that's just people I know. again, it's so heartbreaking. So there are going to be people who have been through things that you've been through. If there was anything that you could tell them, what would you like to share with them?
I think I'll use the affirmation that got me through some of it.
Okay.
I had this on my mirror for years, and it was a game changer for me. The affirmation was, no matter what your past has been, you have a spotless future.
That's awesome.
It helped a lot. And choose to become empowered.
Mm-hmm.
Just, it's not easy. And the other part that most people struggle with is the regrets and the desire to change their past. And I wouldn't. I would not change a single thing that happened to me. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy, but everything that happened to me created the person I am now. And as I said, I kind of love that person.
Yeah. We're on the exact same page there. I've thought for years, if I could go back in time, would I still light that lighter? And I would. I don't want to go through the pain again, because that was awful and that sucked. And again, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. I don't want anybody to ever have to go through what I went through. But I do, I do love who I am today, and I do pay tribute, or give credit, I guess is a better word, to what I went through, making me who I am today. So, yeah, same. I wouldn't change a thing. So no regrets. Life's too short to live with regrets, and we can't change the past. So there's really no sense in dwelling on it. But even if we could, I wouldn't. So, yeah. Is there anything
learn
else?
From it.
Exactly. Yes, learn from it. 100%.
And rise.
Yeah, and grow from it, and yeah. You know that saying, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger." I think it's true, you know, like the people I've met just interviewing and just throughout life, who've been through really horrible things, no matter what it is, they're so much stronger because of it. And yeah, again, we don't want people to have to go through horrible things, but it does get better. But you do have to do the work, right? And it takes time as well.
And it's hard.
Oh, yeah. Darn straight it is. Yeah.
I don't want anybody to ever think, oh, if she can do it, it'll be easy. No,
it's not easy.
It was hard. There was a lot of crying. There was a lot of rage. There was a lot of
heartache and pain. Yeah.
And numbness.
Yeah.
I think the numbness was the worst part, was those times when you just didn't feel anything.
And for me, the worst part was feeling completely alone. You know, I had an incredible support system. My family, they didn't leave my side from the minute I lit that lighter. Friends, but I always felt, and I'd met other burn survivors, but I always felt that nobody knows what I'm going through. And, you know, again, that's partly why I wanted to do this, is the feeling of being completely alone while you're going through hell. That sucks. And nobody should have to be alone when they're going through their hardest time of their life.
Yeah.
So,
which is also why I share my story.
Yeah.
Because, as you said, maybe somebody out there is struggling,
yeah.
and they'll see and hear and be like, oh, if she can do it, so can I.
Yeah. It can be okay. It will be okay. Yeah, 100%. So awesome. Is there anything else that you'd like to share or talk about?
Today I've been thinking a lot of all of the people that have been there for me, that have been there to help me, and they're just as important as being the phoenix yourself.
Yeah.
They're that having those people there that you know you can turn to when you're struggling. That's just as important as being strong within yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful that I have these amazing people that love me.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes you need that reflected back at you when you're having a down day. Sometimes having that one friend look at you and say, "You're awesome." You're like, "Oh, thanks, I needed to hear that."
Yeah.
And that's where I am today. I'm thinking of those people that have been there and have brought that reflection back to me.
Yeah. I hope those people are watching, and if not, make sure you tell them.
There's a moment that stands out in my mind, and I won't go into the story, but I'll just say everyone needs to be appreciated, and I appreciate you.
Me? Or the people that are watching?
Everyone. The entire world of people that are coming together to heal.
Yes.
No matter what stage of your healing you're in, you could just be getting it.
Yeah.
And you've made the choice to. And every single story and every single wound is appreciated and valued.
Mm-hmm. And no matter what they're going through, like there's so many tragic, traumatic things that people can go through. And so, yeah. So thank you very much for meeting with me, and I wish you all the best in your continued healing journey, because we all know that it doesn't really ever end. And with your festivals, all the best with those too.
Oh yeah, Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, well, it's my purpose. It's my legacy, my festival. I suppose you could call it. Yeah. Just want to help people. Want people to not feel like they're alone anymore.